Well, good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning, Joe.
And the red rocks and a red shirt and a yellow VW microbus. That's in a song somewhere, isn't it?
I think if not, we should write it.
Well, it's a very happy picture you paint this morning, which contrasts somewhat with the subject I wanted to talk to you about, which is anger. I find myself and other people getting angry more and more often and more easily, it seems these days. And we can blame that on isolation and COVID, or just the topics at hand that are so extreme for one another. The people who are storm the Capitol were angry. The people who watch the people storm the Capitol are angry. And anger is something that, used to be just something that you got upset about and everybody's yelling, and I wish everybody wouldn't yell, but a soccer player in Latin America got killed because he missed a block on a penalty. And that we can agree is not a rational response, but an angry response. What does the Torah say about anger? What tips can you give us as a therapist and to help us with this?
When you say apparently or it appears, let's get rid of those words. We are very angry in the United States. I'm not going to address other parts of the world because that's not where we live. Here, people are angry, and we can point to COVID, we can point to politics. There's things we can point to. However, anger resides inside each one of us. It's not the result of outside. That's blame. Of course, as human beings, we really like to find someone to blame. As I've mentioned before, when I was at the hospital, above my computer, I had the sign, "You're going to have a good day today because you found someone to blame for the mistakes you made yesterday." And I think that's very human, is not taking responsibility. And anger is something that we need to begin to take responsibility, to acknowledge that it's me, as opposed to pointing, well, the Democrats make me angry, Republicans make me angry, the anti-vaxxers make me angry, the vaccinators make me angry. Everything, always external. Our first step is to step back, to sit down and acknowledge that anger is an emotion, a feeling, a state within us. And if someone else is making us angry, we have to stop and say, someone else is controlling me. Events are controlling me. I'm not in charge of me. And this is very difficult to do because, again, as human beings, we want to project out. We want to blame someone else. We want it to be someone else's responsibility. But the responses to my feelings are my responsibility, not my feelings. If I worry, if I'm angry, that's a feeling. Now, how do I respond? I said before, no one ever calmed down when someone said, calm down. In fact, just the opposite happens. And I find it amazing that anyone, whether it's police, fire, parents, would ever say to someone, calm down, because it doesn't work. Why do you do something that doesn't work? What we want to look at is, what is my response to my feelings? I feel happy. What is my response to being happy? I feel anger. What is my response to anger? But this is a very, very mature way to deal with feelings. And most of us haven't been trained, haven't been taught, haven't had classes.
I know it's an emotion inside me when I become angry, and I acknowledge that, and that actually generally helps me very much. But I still think there's external situations. For example, the other day, I watched my daughter walking her dog, and a car, through solely the efforts of a careless driver, almost got killed. And my immediate emotional response was to run out the door with a butcher knife and attack the car. That was not a calm reaction. I managed to calm myself down, but can you say that was an irrational response on my behalf?
No, that was a response However, a lot of our responses are practiced. From the time we are born, we are trained how to respond to external events. And it's not the external event that's doing anything. It's we have a learned response. It's much like we talked about with prejudice. When we see someone of a different color, a different height, a different dress, how do we respond to the feelings that generates? And it's taught and it's practiced. Part of what we need to do is schools. Schools are a perfect opportunity to work with students. How do you respond? And we're not only we're not doing that, that we praise anger. We praise outbursts. Look at our movies. Look at vengeance. Look at getting even. All our a lot of our entertainment is about anger and about getting even, about getting them. It's all a trained response to the feeling. I'm not saying you shouldn't get angry. That's another thing that's stupid. Someone will say, well, don't get angry. Well, why are you angry? That's ridiculous because it's a feeling. It's how I feel. And you saying it only makes me angrier. Rather, we need to do something about how do we respond.
So you're saying it's okay to get angry because, of course, the universe will sometimes piss us off. But those are just events, as you've said at other times, and it's our reaction to them that we need to learn to control. But isn't anger sometimes a positive response? If it's it's motivating. I keep thinking of Pearl Harbor and a whole country and 9/11 and everybody signing up for the military.
But that just proves what I'm saying, Joe. What is the response to the anger? So responses aren't always bad or negative. It's a response. And now you've hit on a solution. We want to look at our responses to our anger and we want to evaluate them. Are they harmful? Are they hurting me? Are they going to end up putting me in a cage for the rest of my life? So are they helpful? That's how we want to look at our response to the anger. Does the anger get us to help the homeless, go to the food bank, take care of people that are incarcerated unjustly? If our anger does those responses, then the response is positive. It's not about the anger. The anger is neither good nor bad. Anger is a feeling. Love is a feeling. Worry is a feeling. I mean, one of my favorite expressions is, oh, Joe, I have something important to tell you. I don't have time, but don't worry. Of course, the first thing right, it's a setup because we know human beings worry. The appropriate response would be, I am worried about my daughter driving on the Beltway. Okay. Now, what is my response? You can never get on the Beltway. You shouldn't drive on 66. That's not reasonable. Maybe a reasonable response to my worry would be defensive driving. Maybe it would be some more classes for her. Maybe we'd drive more together. Maybe better training. There are other ways to respond to the worry. And says it's the same with anger. And I think going back to some of our discussion with guns, one of the problems we're having is availability of guns without safety training. I'm angry and I'm too quick to pick up a weapon because it's there, it's available. And for many people, they haven't had any training. And it becomes not a good response to the feeling. And even after you take action, a lot of times it's not satisfying because you're still angry.
Well, we're talking about extreme situations, external situations.
Right.
And I think the gun example crosses over to the societal issue that I think I was originally approaching it. When if I have a fight with my family, and I'm usually try to stay calm in these situations, but I find myself, because of stress or various reasons or whatever, getting angry more often or more easily.
Right.
So
I have some advice that may sound counterintuitive. Don't try to be calm. I'm angry. I want to keep focusing on what is my response to the feeling. Don't try to control. It's just what I said about worry. Joe, don't worry. What we want to focus on is not the anger. Don't try to be calm. That's why count to 10. Walk away for a minute. Take some deep breaths. Feel the anger. Now, what is your response to it? And I think therein lies the problem, is we react to the emotion instantly. And that, I think, is training. Nothing to do with anything else, because we have no option. We haven't been taught to do anything else. We haven't been taught, how do I respond to this uncomfortable feeling? And if we begin to take some classes, do some reading, if we admit that we have a problem responding to our anger, we don't have a problem with anger. That's not the problem. It is, I haven't had any classes, any readings, and we don't want to try to be calm, because that never works. Because you're angry. Feel the anger and need to develop strategies so that my response isn't hurtful, isn't harmful to my wife, to my partner, to my child. Well, look at what you did. And the first thing you do is you whack them. Where did you learn that? From your parents? From watching TV shows? That's a learned response to a human feeling. And that's what I want to leave us with. That's what I want to focus on. Don't be calm. Don't talk yourself into anything. You develop your own strategy of how you respond to an internal state. How do you respond to the anger?
Well, I know what my strategy is going to be, Rabbi, and that's going to give you a call and help me work through things, which you always do so well. Thank you very much once again.
And you have my number. Don't hesitate to call.